Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we are learn about TET, Principle of Child Development. First, Principle of Continuity. Development follows continuity. It goes from womb to tomb and never ceases. An individual starting his life from a teeny cell develops his body, mind, and other aspects of his personality through a continuous stream of development in these various dimensions. Next is principle of uniform pattern. The process of development has uniformity and few individual differences, but uniformity is in functions like development of language in children. The physical development is also in a uniform manner. This development starts from head, thus the milk teeth falls first. Thus the development of similar species have a definite uniformity. Next is principle of individual differences. Psychologists give due importance to the principle of individual differences. The process of development has been divided into different age groups, and as every age group has its specific features and have different behavior. These differences cannot be ignored even uh, twin children have differences, thus, every individual has individual differences. Next is principle of integration, where it is true that development proceeds from general to specific or from whole to parts. It is also seen that specific response or part movements are combined in the latter process of learning of development. Development, as Kupuswamy 1971 observed, thus involves a movement from the whole to the parts and from the parts to the whole. It is the integration of whole and its parts as well as of the specific and general responses that make a child develop satisfactorily in the various dimensions of his growth and development. Next one is principle of interrelation. The growth and development in various dimensions like physical, mental, social, etc. are interrelated and interdependent. Growth and development in any one dimension affects the growth and development of the child in other dimensions. For example, children with above average intelligence are generally found to possess above average physical and social development. The lack of growth in one dimension diminishes the bright possibility in other dimension. That is why the child having poor physical development tend to regress in emotional, social and intellectual development. The next one is principle of maturation and learning. In the process of growth and development, maturation and learning plays an important role. In maturity, growth and development get affected towards learning. Any child needs to be mature to do a work. Maturity also has different levels. These levels affect his learning process. For instance, if a child is needing to learn something and lacks maturity, then he will not be able to learn it. The next one is principle of joint product of heredity and environment. Child growth and development is a joint product of heredity and environment. Various examples have provide these facts. The effect of both of these cannot be separated. Heredity is the foundation of the personality of child. It is true. The next one is principle of total development. The physical development in human being is as per time, and side by side the different aspects of human personality also develops like social, physical, emotional, mental, etc. All these aspects are dependent on each other and affect each other. Thus a teacher should take care of all the aspects of a child. The next one is Principle of development direction. Growth and development have their own definite direction. In human body, first of all, head becomes of adult size and legs in end. In the development of embryo, this principle is very clear. Thus, development has different direction. First is cephalocaudal sequence. Human child grows from head to legs and not vice versa. The next one is second step is proximodistal sequence. This development starts from back have one and then external proximodistal sequence starts. Thus we can say that at embryo stage firstly head develops, then lower portion of the body. Similarly, firstly spinal cord develops, then heart, then chest and then etc. Third one is structure proceed function. Firstly, all the body parts develop, then they are used, but before that, their muscles should develop. The next one is development proceeds from general to specific responses. In all phases of child's development, general activity precedes specific activity. His responses are of a general sort before they become specific. For example, the boy waves his arms in general random movements before he is capable of so specific a responses as reaching. Similarly, when a newborn infant cries, the whole of the body is involved with growth. The crying is limited to the vocal cords, eyes, etc. In language development, the child learns general words before specific. He uses the word daddy in greeting many men, and it is only afterward that he uses it for his father. The next one is principle of cumulation and recapitulation. Development is net average of experiences and is not based on the experience. Development is also recapitulation that experience are used again and again. For instance, the self law in childhood is also present in teenage. The next one is principle of predicability of development. Research has made it clear that it is possible to predict development. For example, the interest dis- dislinkings growth of child. The next one is principle of outer control to inner control. Small children depend on others for values and principle. When they grow up, they develop their own values. The next one is principle of outer control to inner control. Small children depend on others for values and principles. When they grow up, they develop their own value system, conscious, inner control, and outer control. Thus, we see that the knowledge of principle helps us to understand the process of development in a better way. Their principles are not ultimate, they are some generalizations which help a teacher to understand direction and help in understanding the level of development among children. Our next chapter is theories of development. What is the theories of development? Theories of development is Baldwin has served the current theories of child development and has concluded that scientific reasons. There are three theories of child development details as under field theory. This theory holds that all parts of the psychological environment influence the individual's behavior, and it can be compared to field theory in physics, which is concerned with electromagnetic fields and how they change behavior. It says it shaped not by simple cause effect chains but by forces which make up the entire field. Something in the environment they may not influence me if I have no idea that it is hostile to me. My behavior may be influenced by this belief whether or not we actually is hostile. The person separated from his goal acts in order to reach his goal. In other words, there are psychological forces at work on the person that have a certain strength and a certain direction. Forces that can be either positive, attracting behavior in a certain direction, or negative, replaying us. The strength of a force towards or away from us is increased or decreased with distance. A cookie easily seen and close to little tide motivated him to take it more readily than if it is in a jar high up on a shelf. Little can will show more fear of some animal if it is the nearby. However, we tend also react in terms of a total situation which we know well. A person planning to mail a letter does not always head towards the nearest mailbox. He may go about his regular business until he comes across a mailbox, at which time this mailbox becomes a positive forces affecting his behavior as the child grows. Behavior. As the child grows older, he exhibits a greater variety of behavior. Some activities drop out, but he learns more of a range of emotional expressions and social responses. His needs expand and his interest and knowledge take on more variation. The space of free movement expands with growth and realism begins to take over. With things, with development, we learn the difference between how things are and how we wish they were. Next one is cognitive theory. That is the second one. Piaget divided the child's development into four main periods. First is the sensory motor period of the first 2 years, where the child is acquiring skills and learning to integrate information from his different senses. He sees the world as a permanent place, not one whose existence depends upon his preserving it. He can experiment with things about him, deliberately vary his action, but the child gets into trouble in his first stage because of a lack of understanding corresponding to his behavior following the period of infancy. The year of 2 to 7 build a conceptual scheme which becomes organized and proportional. During this period, the child or simplifies his thinking. For the 4-year-old, when the red light on the stove gets out, dinner is ready, his understandings are often not logical, yet in free play he may be most sensible. From 2 to 4, the child is egocentric, unable to see the point of view of others. From 4 to 7, he sees things in better relationship and is able to put them into categories boys, animals, and friends. From 7 to 11 comes the third period, that of concrete operations, where the child organizes things well and through process are stable and reasonable. He can arrange objects in order of size and fit new ones into the series. He understands that the number of objects in a group is not changed by purely spatial rearrangement. He is acquired a conception of time, space, number, and logic, but he cannot yet grasp concepts like volume. The fourth period, that of a formal operations, comes in early adolescence. At this point, the child can understand the basic principle of causal thinking and scientific experimentation. He has a fundamental grasp of logical thoughts. The next one is stimulus response theory. The basic elements of a stimulus response theory include the assumption that most human behavior is learned and that this is done piecemeal rather than all at once. When two different stimuli appear together repeatedly, the responses to one of them are gradually transferred to the other. If a response to a stimulus instant followed by reinforcement, this reward increases the probability of the response to that stimulus. Over time, the person builds up habits of behaving and of thinking. Stimulus response theory. Also related to social learning, the child is dependent and hence we have the beginning of socialization where there is a gradual taming of aggression into a social acceptable form. Individuals grow up differently depending upon their particular experiences. Some city birds children may be surprised to find that real sheep do not have wheels. Thanks for watching my video. Allah Hafiz.